Hey, welcome. This boy right here, this is Hank. Hank hasn't really wanted to leave me alone this morning. As you could see here, Hank hasn't wanted to leave me alone this morning. So welcome to the stream, everybody. Hank, say hello to everybody. Hank, you say hi. Oh, it's a good boy. Mwah. This is a good boy. Are you happy the Canadians won? Hank, are you happy the Canadians won a hockey game? Yes, I know you're a good boy. Oh, yes, you're a good boy. You ready? You're going to go get a snacky later because we got some action to talk about. There he goes. Welcome and good morning, everybody. Good to be with you. Nice to be seen the morning after the night that was the red hot Montreal Canadiens, everybody. I mean, yeah, they're doing it. They're 9-2 in their last 11. What an absolute thriller of a hockey game that was, with Montreal going to Washington, granted rested, having not played since Monday in that thrilling victory. And the Montreal Canadiens, for the third time this month, stretching into the new year, have won 3 games in a row and are 9-2 in their last 11. Welcome, everybody. Good to be with you. Good morning. Happy Saturday to one and all. How much did you enjoy that hockey game last night? Very much looking forward to getting into this with everybody on the morning that was after last night's victory. I just want to get myself situated here if I can for a second, as I can just get the stream set up and see if I can get us into the live chat this morning. So yeah, the Montreal Canadiens continue to shock the world, man. It's crazy to see what this team has done. I mean, I don't even know where to begin, because when we transition over to see where Montreal is this morning after game number 41 last night, they now have 43 points. That leaves them 1 point back of Columbus, 2 points Boston. Those are the two wildcard teams this morning, with Montreal having played one less game than Columbus and 3 fewer games than the Boston Bruins. The Pittsburgh Penguins also with 44 points, but they've played 2 more games than Montreal has, as the Canadiens, my friends, are back in action tonight, back at the Bell Center, fresh off winning in Washington in a 3-2 final off the stick of Nick Suzuki. And we've got a lot to talk about as the Montreal Canadiens continue to shock the National Hockey League and those that pay attention to the NHL. Because everyone keeps talking. You turn on you turn on TSN Sports Center this morning, and the first thing that pops up is the Canadiens led TSN Sports Center today with the fact that they continue to impress, with the fact that they continue to be a rebuilding team. And that's the context a lot of people are talking about this team in, right? Like, year 3 of the rebuild, how are they doing what they're doing? I saw one piece of opinion about how Montreal needs to be humbled. Let's remember, the Montreal Canadiens have not been very good. Not so sure where the humbling comment comes from, but are we watching something special here? I really think we are, and we'll talk about Lane Hudson's game, the fact that he's on 31 points. He's on pace for 62 points this season and had one of his best games, maybe the best game of his NHL career on the road in Washington last night. We'll talk about Cole Caulfield on 23 goals. He's on pace for 46 goals this season. Montreal hasn't had a 40-goal scorer since the mid-90s, and Vincent Damphousse, as Caulfield has goals now in 5 straight, he's on pace for an 80-point season. Nick Suzuki scored his 2nd straight overtime winner, did it on the road in Washington. Habs win 3-2. He is on pace for 84 points. So, yes, we can talk about how the best players have been playing consistent hockey, because the bottom 2 lines for Martin St. Louis have been shouldering most of the load in terms of performing consistently. And now it's nice to see not only is Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki one of the more dangerous tandems in all of the National Hockey League, but also the line that comes after them with Alex Newhook, looking at Kirby Dach, and yes, again, no Patrick Laine. It'll be interesting to see if 92's there tonight when the Canadiens play Dallas at Montreal. And then they got another long week coming up. They got 4 games coming up next week. So Jakub Dobeš moves to 3-0 as he's beaten teams like Florida, Colorado, and Washington. And look, I mean, Jakub Dobeš, in the first 2 performances against Florida in the 4-0 shutout win, the come-from-behind win over Colorado in Colorado, a team that doesn't lose very often at home, a team that hadn't lost after opening up a lead after 20, after 40, a team that hadn't lost in overtime or a shootout, and Montreal tagged Colorado with loss after loss after loss in a 65-minute plus hockey game last Saturday.
and that Jakub Dobeš was primarily responsible for that as he moves to 3-0. And, the puck tracking and the rebound control remained as good last night as it was in the first 2 games of his NHL career. And if we think about the goals that beat him yesterday, I mean, those were snipe city goals from Jacob Chychrun, from Lars Eller, as it resulted in giveaways, a couple of mistakes that Montreal made that Washington was able to capitalize on. Arbor Jacki, not so sure if he knew how fast the guy was coming in behind him. That negated the icing call. Jake Evans trying to kill a penalty and just carelessly throws it up the middle of the ice, and there's Chychrun waiting for it with time and space, and he beats Jakub Dobeš cleanly with a laser beam of a shot. So it's not like we're here talking about banana goals from Jakub Dobeš or reality is sunk in for Jakub Dobeš. No, I mean, this guy just oozes confidence. He's got a goals against under one, a 959 save percentage. Let's get into some of the chat this morning. Good morning, everybody. The team's run is on magic. I mean, it's undeniable, really. I mean, you watch this team and how they're performing. Costa, good morning. Slavkovsky looks so much better last night, needs to continue in that direction. Nabo says, need to temper expectations. Everyone is talking as if we've guaranteed a playoff spot. We can't just be happy that we're in the mix. And listen, I mean, a couple of things to react to right off the hop there. The team's run is magic. That is undeniable. They're 9-2 in their last 11. Remember, they hadn't won 3 consecutive games until they won 3 consecutive games in December, and it seems like now that's what they're doing. It's why they're 9-2 in their last 11, and the quality of the opposition that they've managed to beat here on this 9-2 run is definitely worthy of your respect. So it is a magical run. Good point made by you. The other bit of comment that was interesting to me was this one: need to temper expectations, from Nabo514. Everyone is talking as if the Canadiens guaranteed a playoff spot. Can we just be happy that they're in the mix? I mean, both things can be true. I think this fan base and this marketplace is very happy with what they've seen out of the chute, very happy with the team's response to what was a terrible beginning portion of their season, how tight they've played, how better defensively structured they look. The goaltending has stabilized. The depth of the Montreal Canadiens has obviously, I think, stabilized as well. And that lends to, I think when you add all of those points up, it lends to why the Montreal Canadiens are climbing up the standings, why they're legitimately in the mix, and why the Tampa Bay Lightning are on the clock, right? Because, yeah, we can look at the wild card standings and we can see where the Canadiens are, but, like, let's take a quick look over to what's happening inside the division for a second, right? If you don't mind, let's look at where the Canadiens are inside the division here. Take a look at this. The Toronto Maple Leafs, one of the best teams in hockey. It's undeniable. 56 points and 27 wins. Florida right there. Your defending Stanley Cup champions, 4 points back after 42 games and 25 wins. They have scored 4 more goals, though, than the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are maybe turning into a little bit of a goaltender identity kind of hockey team. There's Tampa with 46 points, but it's Montreal that is right there in the mix with these 43 points. So the Lightning with 39 games played, that's crazy that they've played so few games. Is there a team in the NHL? Yeah, LA's played 39 games, but they had a game postponed because of the tragic wildfires in Southern California that have basically burnt Los Angeles to the ground. It's unbelievable footage. So sad, so tragic, what's happening in Southern California. Awesome to see, in this era of division sometimes. Just as a quick aside, help coming from countries like ours, the water planes and the splashing down on the wildfires in California, helped by pilots and planes from Quebec. Same thing from our friends in Mexico, helping our friends in Southern California deal with the tragedy of their wildfires. But all that to say, the Lightning have played 39 games and have 46 points. Montreal is right there, 3 points back, but the Lightning obviously have a ton of games in hand. And I think, if we go back to, I want to highlight this comment here for a second, if I can. And here we go. This comment right here. When we talk about needing to temper expectations, if we're guaranteed a playoff spot. I want to talk about that for a second before I get to more of your comments. Tempering expectations, I am here for. I am here for the tempering of expectations because I stand by it. I think the Montreal Canadiens are shocking the National Hockey League. Observers from outside of the Montreal market shocked at what they're seeing from Montreal because it's how they're winning and it's who they're beating. So it's that lethal tandem that has people's attention right now. And I want to take you back to what Ken Hughes talked about when he spoke to the media from Brossard this week, right? In between games. Montreal played on Monday. They played in Washington last night. They're home to Dallas at 7 o'clock live on TSN 690 tonight. When he and his coach, Martin St. Louis, too, let's lump MSL into this, about where their team is at contextually in the mix for sure. But as I've said here, and Ken Hughes, without talking to me, backed me up when he said being in the mix isn't necessarily literally in the playoffs. Being in the mix is also playing games that matter in March and hopefully April. That's, I think, their definition of being in the mix, and I am here for that definition. And Martin St. Louis also talked about, when he was asked about his team's level of play, why they're playing better hockey, why they're competitive, why they're beating who they've beaten, like Florida, Tampa Bay, Vegas, Colorado, and Washington, that he purposely mentioned. He goes, whoa, man, it's the halfway point of the season. There's a lot of hockey. And listen, we'll talk about the Canadiens' first half because tonight is the official start to the second half of Montreal season. Game number 41 came and went in Washington, and Montreal skated off with a 3-2 come-from-behind overtime victory, right? And Martin St. Louis, and I believe his players, are basically on the same page. And we have examples to work off of that I think prove our opinion and prove our thoughts. Kaden Primo was asked this week. Arpon Basu wrote about the Canadiens in The Athletic, as he always does. And Kaden Primo was like, I don't know where our team is at in the standings. Cole Caulfield quoted in the same story where he said, I know we've got a lot of games to go, but it feels good to win. More or less, and I believe them. I believe them that this team has its own little bubble that they call their world. And very little outside influence gets into that little bubble, aka their little world. So I think to a man, as I've spoken about regularly on this channel, this team has shown us plenty of times this season that they're very tight, very together, very organized, better fundamentally in terms of their execution on the ice, and that they do consistently play for Martin St. Louis and have not given up on Martin St. Louis. I mean, I don't, everybody has the right to their opinion. I'm not here judging. You watch the game, I watch the game. We can come away with different points of view, right? But it still remains baffling to me that you can walk away with an opinion that Martin St. Louis is tired of losing or was scared of losing and scared of his reputation when he has shown you over a tremendous sample size that this guy knows how to persevere and always climbs uphill and always overcomes, always has and always will be, and how people like Hughes and Gordon and Martin St. Louis, one of the big reasons these men get to the positions that they've gotten to in their professional careers is because they have the courage. They can sack up, put their nuts on the table and say, we're going to take this challenge on and we're not afraid to fail. That's very, very important in my opinion. Not being afraid to fail, to take the challenge on, to have the confidence within that you can persevere and that you can be the man that brings the Montreal Canadiens back, and that you can be the men that reassemble the Montreal Canadiens and bring them back to a level of consistency. Because that's the other thing Hughes mentioned in his press conference this week. It's not about flash in the pan, fugazi, go on a freaky run, unpredictable run, defy all the odds like Yaroslav Halak and the Canadiens beating Pittsburgh and Washington, right? And all that improbability. No, it's about sustained success. It's about being the next version of the Tampa Bay Lightning and going through those growing pains, right? And it's nice that Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield have been a part of teams that have won 3 playoff rounds, that have gotten to a Stanley Cup final, that have won a game in the Stanley Cup final. They've tasted that. They know what that is, right? But let's remember that there's a lot of hockey left to be played and that the rebuild is not over. Can we talk about whether or not the Canadiens have turned the corner? Maybe they have, and they're showing us, if you don't believe that they have, that they're a lot closer than we thought, then turning that corner. Kaden Guhle remains a pillar on this team defensively. Alex Carrier has brought so much stability here. Uri Slafkovsky, who I stand by when with Brendan Kelly this week, talked about, whether or not you're a little bit worried about this guy's developmental path. And Uri Slafkovsky had a very, very solid game yesterday in all three phases of the ice. And these are the markers you look for. These are the markers, in my opinion, whether it's individual or team-wise, coaching-wise. Like, you watched number 20 last night. You saw he had a better game. You saw that he was kind of called out, whether it was by donkeys like me or his own coach or his own general manager. Ken Hughes this week said he expects Uri Slafkovsky to do more. He expects him to do more, but also said, progression and player development isn't linear, and that you can look at other examples like a Kirby Dach or a Josh Anderson and say, listen, there are bumps on the road to this rebuild. It takes time. It takes time. And, Uri Slafkovsky, with the minutes and the role that he plays, you don't want to be the guy that anchors a line, that holds the line back. And so what I'm saying is, you look at a game that 20 played last night, and yeah, you can take away, okay, this guy, air quoted, manned up. This guy heard what his coaches and managers told him. He didn't pout like a baby, didn't go sulk. No, he manned up and went out and played a very strong game. Very strong game, and has had a beautiful assist on the Cole Caulfield goal. And also knowing that was hockey smarts by Uri Slafkovsky on that goal, because you saw where he was. He was at the point because Lane Hudson had left his position because he was down closer to Logan Thompson at that point, right? And so Uri Slafkovsky, like you're taught at Pee Wee, at Bantam, when the defenseman leaves his position for whatever reason, it's your job as the winger to go recover and fill that void. And that's what he did. The puck found him, and with that great vision and Cole Caulfield's ability to continue to find open space in the offensive zone is a thing of beauty. Great display of hockey IQ on that goal. Your comments this morning. Thank you so much. Morgan, does Struble get sent down when Savard comes back, and is Laine really suffering from the flu? That's the thing. I'm going to say Laine has the flu. Again, I'm not around the team. I'm obviously not on the team. And there was a moment in time, I'm not going to lie to you, where I thought that when he got hurt, Laine got hurt in that preseason game with Toronto, and that he opted for non-invasive procedure to rehab that hurt knee. And then I saw that he was on the shelf for a while, but we got notes yesterday morning, or I guess Thursday afternoon, I got a note from our play-by-play man for TSN 690, Victor Finley, who covers practice for us at the radio station and sends an email to the staff about the practice, the line combinations, what they did at practice, yada, yada, yada. And one of the things Victor had written in his email to us was that Laine wasn't going to travel to Washington. Jakub Dobeš was going to start against the Capitals, and it seemed likely that Patrik Laine and David Savard would both be back in the lineup Saturday against Dallas. So we shall wait and see. What is it, 9:48 this morning on this Saturday? I have not heard, I have not read, I have not gotten note that Patrik Laine or David Savard will be available for the Canadiens against Dallas at 7 o'clock on TSN 690 tonight. But to Morgan's question, I don't know if Laine's really suffering from the flu. We know people that have gotten the flu this year, and it's a pretty gnarly one by all accounts. So we shall see. We shall see what happens today. But Michael Pezzetta and one commentator there, Morgan asked about Jaden Struble. Jaden Struble, I thought, had a tougher game yesterday, and it's kind of tough, right? Because he was one of those guys, I firmly believe, earlier in the season with Arbor Jacki, Jordan Barron, Justin Barron, and Jaden Struble, that they were more or less auditioning for full-time roles. And what I think is going to happen next is, it's fascinating because the Canadiens are good. The Canadiens are together, and they're deep, and they're consistent now. And the one interesting aspect about that is, what does that do to Ken Hughes' plan for March 7th, the trade deadline? I know there's a lot of hockey to be played, but my brain can't help but look ahead and think about the possibilities of, Yoel Armia, how well Yoel Armia plays, how much he means to that Canadiens line. David Savard, the veteran presence, like it's important. It's important to have good veterans that are trustworthy, that buy into what you're trying to sell, especially to the younger guys. And I think it's a fascinating area that we're looking at now. And I know it's January 11th today. I know the trade deadline is March 7th, so we're inside 2 months, and there's a lot of hockey left to be played. But if the Canadiens are where they are in the standings, and if you're just jumping on the live stream here, let me take you back to the standings for just a second, right? Because, Montreal, with their 43 points, are 3 back of third place in the Atlantic. They're 1 point out of the second wild card, 2 points out of the first wild card. I mean, it's wild to me what the Canadiens are doing, and they've been so consistent, like I've said. So 46 there, as you see, for the Lightning. Boston with 45, BJ's with 44, Penguins with 44, Habs with 43. The red-hot Red Wings aren't going away. They've won 6 in a row. Ottawa's lost 4 in a row. Brady Tkachuk, the captain in Ottawa, had a closed-door players-only meeting after they lost this week and are falling down the standings a little bit. So let me get back to your comments, please, for just a second. Let's see what you all are saying this morning. Good morning. Thanks so much, by the way, everybody, for joining us. Sean Starr. Morning, Sean. Good morning. Great start to the day with you from Vancouver. Mr. Watt, thank you so much. The Habs will be the most dangerous team in the playoffs. Can we get to the playoffs first? Can we get to the playoffs? Brad Wright in the chat. What a game. Last 20. They're 13-7. Goes to show you how badly they played in the previous 20. Hope they can keep it rolling. We'll be watching tonight. Go Habs, go. And that's the thing, too. It's like I mentioned off the top, it's not as if the Montreal Canadiens have pulled this out of their keister. It's like this has been going on for a minute. And tonight will be the official kickstart to the second half. Don't get me wrong, I'm absolutely loving this run, but important not to get too high and don't get too low. I don't disagree, and Ken Hughes, Martin St. Louis more or less backed that up when they held court this week in between games and, talked about the state of affairs, what the plan is, young players. And on that note, I want to talk about, I think Logan Mailloux is going to be the next guy that we're going to see here. And if Patrick Laine isn't back, I don't know. I mean, Michael Pezzetta's taking minor penalties. Michael Pezzetta's playing 3 minutes. Michael Pezzetta goes 30 games between playing, and then he's inserted into the lineup. Why not? If Patrick Laine doesn't play today, I would hope that the Montreal Canadiens are looking hard at Laval. They had a lot of opportunity this week. Like, if they kind of knew, and that's the hard part for me, speculation is a very dangerous game, and I want to be careful about speculating on Patrick Laine. But if I play the hypothetical and I speculate for a second, I choose to believe the Montreal Canadiens know exactly what's going on. I choose to believe Montreal knows exactly what's going on with Patrick Laine. Does Laine have the flu? Is his knee bugging him? Is something else bugging him? I believe the Canadiens know the answer to that question. Fact. I believe that. Okay? So that's what makes me comfortable suggesting that he does have the flu, and it's nothing worse than that. Because if it was worse than that, and they didn't play until Friday, and their last game was Monday, logically speaking, why wouldn't Montreal call up Joshua Roy? Why not? I mean, Michael Pezzetta is Michael Pezzetta. Don't give me the line of thinking that, oh, it's a showcase. It's Michael Pezzetta. It's like, no, it's not a showcase. They need a warm body to fill in. So that's where my head takes me. And that's about as far as I'm going to go when it comes to speculating on Patrick Laine. What else are y'all saying today? Struble was benched for the entire third period. He's in the next Uber to Laval. Call up who? Well, that's the thing, too. I believe, as I've already mentioned here, I believe Logan Mailloux is going to get a look. And it's coming. Sean Campbell and I have been on this for the better part of a month. Sean Campbell will be my next guest this week, and we're going to talk about this. The first half. We'll project what we think is going to happen in the second half. We'll talk more about Logan Mailloux, who's had an interesting start in Laval this year. Right, offensively, the gifts are there. I think offensively speaking, Logan Mailloux is more or less NHL ready. Defensively, I think it's still a work in progress. But that's what I think is going to happen. Sean, are you thinking of going full time with a podcast? Ari, not so sure what that means full time. I mean, I do this. So basically, if you ask, I'll answer the question as quickly as I can here. Doing stuff, creating stuff, content-wise in sports has always been a passion project of mine. Remember, I was doing In the Car with Star. I was doing these monologues from inside my car with my iPhone propped up on the windshield on my dash, right? And I would just riff on the Canadians, and I would just talk and talk and talk, and I would do live chats and yada, 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 right? It's just something I'm passionate about. It's something I like to do. And it's not like, there's no sponsors here. You don't see me selling anything. I'm not selling anything to you. There's no product placement here. As some people in the chat have pointed out, I listen to TSN 690 every day. Concars 1234. Thank you, Concars 1234. We love our TSN 690 listeners. We have the best, most loyal, passionate, supportive listeners in radio, English or French, okay? And people that don't work with us anymore still kind of miss us a little bit. I can tell you that for a fact, because they don't shut up. But nevertheless, let me change topics, okay? This is, basically what I've chosen to do here is expand more on the Montreal Canadiens, more interactions with you and me together. I like talking to the fan base. I like talking to people. I'm a social guy, and I like the interactions. And I also love talking about the Montreal Canadiens. It's the one team in my life that I have been a fan of since I can remember remembering. My earliest memories go back to being a fan of the Montreal Canadiens. I've been a huge Patrick Waugh fan my entire life. I debated wearing my Hab sweater on the podcast today. I chose not to. And so, yeah, it's not like I'm not motivated by money to do this. It's just something I like to do. I like to be creative. I like trying different projects, and this is a project. And so one of the things I've done here is generally after every Canadiens game, you'll find me live on this YouTube channel. And in between games, you're going to find short little 8 to 12, 15-minute long interviews and segments I do with people I like to talk hockey with. That's as simple as I could put it. Hand on my heart. So, I've had Mitch Gallo on a bunch of times. And so what I do is I record with Mitch Gallo, and we do about 45 minutes to about an hour. And we generally record on Sunday mornings, early afternoon. I video edit the entire thing. I chop it up, and I post daily Habs content on my YouTube channel. And then today I'm here live. Tomorrow morning at 9:30, I will be here live to react to the Dallas Stars Montreal Canadiens game. So that's about as honest as I am in terms of why I'm doing this. It's just a lot of fun. I like it, and I'm proud that I'm on a different piece of software. I invested in a laptop. I invested in better internet and more technology to make this a better product, because that's just how I'm wired. To see how crap my stream was, or choppy, or pixelated, it drove me insane. And I'm a radio guy in my heart. I am a radio guy. And so the sound to me has to be perfect. If not, yeah, it's very frustrating. So that's why I'm doing that. That's what I'm doing. Brad Wright, what's up, Brad? Do you think if they keep this winning going, does management make a move for a top six, or leave the roster alone because the team has worked to get there? That's an interesting comment, Brad. And you know what my gut tells me about what I think the Montreal Canadiens are going to do? As I mentioned earlier on here, Montreal stays really in the mix, and they play meaningful games. And by in the mix, let me clarify in the mix. I don't think in the mix means a playoff spot. I don't think it means top three in the Atlantic or one of the two wild cards in the East, right? What I think it means is where they are now. With another hot run, or a team kind of falters a little bit, Montreal can take advantage. But I do not believe Ken Hughes is moving any player of substance that they believe in long term to go get a rental player. I do not believe it. And again, if the Montreal Canadiens, think about it for a second. If Montreal stays where they are, let's project forward, okay? Let's say Montreal with 20 games left, okay? They've played 61 games. So there are 21 games left in the NHL season. Do you see a world in which the Canadiens, and they're where they are now, okay? 3 points out, 2 points out, wild card, third place in the Atlantic Division, okay? I can't see Ken Hughes taking a meaningful player off this team to make a move. There's no way. Like, you have to reward these players that go to war for you every single day and are good soldiers. They listen to you. They practice hard. They play hard. They're responsible on and off the ice. You have to reward these players with saying, okay, boys, you earn this. Now go frickin' get it. Go get it. So that's good coaching, in my opinion. Good coaching isn't necessarily X's and O's 24/7. Good coaching is occasionally not being afraid to confront players that aren't doing well. And the number one thing that makes for a good coach, in my humble opinion, is being an outstanding communicator. If you can communicate really well, and if you're not afraid of confrontation, I think you could be an excellent coach regardless of the level. You have to have the courage to look at a player and credibly say, you're not doing good enough. I need more. You can do more. And so if the Canadiens are doing all this with 20 games left in the NHL season, let these boys go the entire way. That's how I feel about that. If Lonnie is out, would you give Joshua a little taste? Absolutely. I mentioned that already. I firmly believe that. And that's why I think Patrick Laine does have the flu. Because if the Canadiens thought that it was anything more serious than the flu, knowing that they had all this time off between Monday and Friday, why wouldn't they have called someone up? You saw Michael Pezzetta. You saw him play yesterday. He took a minor penalty, played 3 minutes. It's enough. Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki double shifting, and it's good. They're winning games and they're looking good and they're staying strong. Like, there's no panic in this team. It's unbelievable. They're 9-2 in their last 11. They kept a Washington Capitals team to 2 goals. Washington went into that game last night averaging 3.67 goals per game, the second most potent team in hockey going into their barn on a Friday night. And Jakub Dobeš, strong as he moves to 3-0. The Capitals also had no shots on goal in the last 8:47 of the third period yesterday. Like, can I get a hey now? Like a real hey now? And Montreal, to their credit, when we talk about consistency, because that's what it is in this league, man. That's what it is in this league, you guys. Montreal hasn't lost back-to-back games in a month. Montreal hasn't lost back-to-back games in 4 weeks. I mean, it's impressive. It's impressive. Let's get to some more comments. Here, look what you all are saying to me. What do I think of resigning Armia? Let me ask you this. Does Armia confuse you guys? Are you confused watching Yoel Armia? I love him. I love Yoel Armia. I think he's so good. I love dirty minute eating players, guys that do hard work all the time, and he goes in the corner, mucks it up, creates turnovers, has found chemistry with Emil Bleep Heineman, who's all over the place, and the Canadiens with Yoel Armia look good. So I think in the short and narrow of it all, I would look at re-signing Yoel Armia, okay? But I think the same problem with Yoel Armia exists with Jake Evans. That as much as this fan base likes them, and I think their teammates respect and appreciate them and don't want them to leave, they also want to see their teammates get paid. Let's remember that, right? It is their jobs after all, and they all are cheering for each other to get good money. Let's be honest. They do think that way. That as much as the team likes him and management probably likes these guys and the fans love him and the media likes them, other teams like these guys. And so if you're Jake Evans, okay, and I've been talking about Jake Evans quite a bit. I don't know what type of deal Jake Evans is going to have to take if he wants to stay here, but part of me thinks he's going to have to take a deal of some sort to stay here. But it's Jake Evans's agent responsibility to get the most for his client, end of sentence. Now, if Evans goes to his agent and says, listen, Brian, I love Montreal, I love my role, I love my team, I love my condo, my wife loves it here, yada, 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 then concessions can be made. But Jake Evans is going to be turning 29. This is going to be his career shot at getting a massive payday that he's worked his ass off to get. and he's a UFA. And I don't want the Montreal Canadiens to lose him for nothing. I've been consistent here. I like Jake Evans, 4 years, $4 million per year, and that's as far as I would go in years and money on the contract. End of sentence for me. Because I don't want to be loyal. I think loyalty is a losing proposition 24/7 in professional sports. So I'm not Marc Bergevin. I'm not going to cry if I sign Jake Evans. I'm not going to cry if they trade Jake Evans. I would cry if they let him walk for nothing. That would be a stupid move in my humble opinion. But it's a dangerous thing. You know, you have to be able to be very good at removing emotion from the equation, thinking with your brain. And if somebody comes calling, if New Jersey comes calling, Vegas comes calling for Jake Evans, and they offer you something stupid for the guy, you got to look long and hard at that. But you also have to have what I believe you need clear lines of communication. Ken Hughes, Jeff Gordon have to know exactly where they stand in the eyes of Jake Evans and his agent, where Jake Evans stands in the eyes of management. So I do believe in the reporting by Renaud Lavoie that the two sides, Hughes, Evans, they like each other. They want to see if they can stay together. But I don't know if Jake Evans is in the business of giving the Montreal Canadiens a deal. I don't. And if he doesn't give the Canadiens a deal and says, listen, I want to get as much money as I possibly can on the open market, that's his right. He has earned the right to be an unrestricted free agent, and that's what comes with this, right? Hab Suck, by the way. Let me see if I can get this guy here. Look at this guy. What's my handicap? My handicap right now? Shoot, I don't even know. I don't know what my handicap is. How interested are you in finding that out? I guess I could figure it out. I think I'm a 3 or a 4 maybe. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure what my golf handicap is. I could find out if you want. So here. Can you see that? 3. My handicap, my index is 2.1. At my golf course, it's a 3 handicap. And last year, I'll show you this little stat here if my phone can pull it up for a second. Or not, maybe not. But my golf index here. I don't know if this works for you. That's my Golf Canada profile. Can you see that? I played 131 rounds. I hit 47% of my greens in regulation. My scrambling was 41%. I hit 68.3% of my fairways, and my golf index is 2.1. My handicap is a solid 3. Look at this donkey here. Look at this clown. Poop and pee. I am a pee man. Hab Suck, by the way. That's quality stuff. Probably a Leafs fan. No, correction. That's a Bruins fan. Bruins fans talk like that, right? Like they breathe through their mouths and hook up with their second cousins. Sean, with the eventual arrival of Jacob Fowler, do you foresee the Habs letting one of their goaltenders go? What a good problem to have, huh? What a good problem to have. What a good problem. Jakub Dobeš, here's the numbers. Jakub Dobeš, 3-0. He's allowed 3 goals on 74 shots, has a .959 save percentage, and a goals against of .97. .97. Has beaten Florida, Colorado, and the Washington Capitals all on the road. What a great problem to have. I love inner competition. It breeds excellence. It separates the strong from the weak. And totally the future in goal for Montreal, Jakub Dobeš, Jacob Fowler, I am here for that. Thank you very much. More comments from you today. Thank you so much for being a part of this live stream. The flu bug in Windsor, Ontario is about 5 to 7 days of hell right now. I heard that as well. I heard the flu bug is an absolute mother you-know-what. So it's totally possible. I stand by my opinion that Montreal knows what's going on with Patrick Laine. And if Patrick Laine had anything worse than the flu, I think Joshua Roy would have been called up. Hey now, remember Hank from Larry Sanders Show? Absolutely I do. Why do you think my dog is named Hank? And you see that guy behind me right there? That is Leon. That's my old dog. Leon, I lost him to cancer a few years ago. And He was named after the Leon character from Curb Your Enthusiasm. Leor, big turnout for this live episode. Congrats on a successful YouTube channel, Sean. You're smashing it. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Like, I wouldn't be here if not for you guys. I probably would. I'd be talking to nobody. My mom always used to say, nobody loves the sound of their voice more than my own son. So I like talking, there's no doubt. Let's see here. Down South Hero. Canadians' compete level is astonishing. They're also healthier for the first time in quite some time. Not smoke and mirrors. The mix is here and now. That's a great comment. I forgot about that. I forget about how healthy Montreal has been, you know. And I guess you guys were right. I'll give you credit. You guys were right. Kirby Dach needed a lot of time to recover physically, mentally from that season-ending injury a year ago. And I've never dealt with anything quite like that before in my own personal life. I've had some serious injuries, but nothing like that. And you guys were right about the timeline and the patient's approach, by the way. Let's see what else we got here. Kaden Primo 2-0 with Laval. Thank you, Recliner Sports. That's a great comment here. Let me put that up on the chat. Recliner Sports. Kaden Primo 2-0 with Laval. 977 save percentage. I don't know what happened with him here in Montreal. I don't. Like, I know they worked really hard with him between games and stuff like that, and they really tried to develop him at the NHL level, as they've done with a bunch of other guys, you know, and I'll give credit to the organization for being so patient, especially the coach, considering how patient they've been with a lot of players. But it's about trust, man. And Cole Caulfield, I'm going to remind you of this. Cole Caulfield weeks ago said in early December he wanted to see his team go on a run. Since Cole Caulfield said that, they've won 9 of their last 11 games. And that's a veteran player, a player with experience on this team that is speaking publicly about his desires and wishes about his team competitively. These guys, man, these guys are the 1% of the 1%. They are hardwired to win. And they want to win. They believe in themselves. And I believe the organization listened. And if you're not pulling your weight, like I said earlier, you never want to be the anchor. You never want to be, man, am I holding them back? Am I partly responsible from preventing this team from being the best version of themselves? And maybe he was. So good on the organization for realizing those things, if what I'm saying is that the factual truth, and making that decision. Because what I can tell you, based from a very good source, is that Jakub Dobeš, okay, I want to explain this clearly, because this is very true what I'm about to say, okay? What the plan was. The plan was Sam Montembeault, Kaden Primo, all year in Montreal. That was the plan. Jakub Dobeš, Connor Hughes in Laval all year. That was the plan. That's what I was told, okay? But if Jakub Dobeš, right, because remember, he's coming out of the NCAA, getting his feet wet in pro hockey here. Connor Hughes is coming from Europe. He's played pro hockey, now back in North America. Hughes is trying to fulfill a lifelong dream of playing in the NHL. And Jakub Dobeš was scheduled to get, if the timing worked out, this is what the Canadiens were going to do. If Montreal played on a Monday, okay, and Laval was in Laval all week, and they weren't playing until Friday night, and the Canadiens played a Tuesday game, they probably would have called Jakub Dobeš up for a spot start. Give him a game, give him a taste, give him a paycheck, send him back to Laval, send him back on the orange line, okay? Then he got hurt. And then his groin injury happened, and he was day-to-day, and he wasn't playing. And then Kaden Primo was having a real hard time getting confident in goal for the Canadiens to the point where he wasn't playing. And remember, Sam Montembeault, before the Dobeš call-up, Sam Montembeault started 10 games in a row, including back-to-backs. Montembeault played 10 games in a row. That's what they thought about Kaden Primo and his level of reliability and trustworthiness. So if Dobeš hadn't gotten hurt and suffered a groin injury, he would have been here in spot duty. But the plan was for him not to be here on a full-time basis. So if Kaden Primo, as I want to give the guy credit for pointing that out, Recliner Sports telling us about Kaden Primo. Primo 2-0 with a 977 save percentage in Laval. If Kaden Primo continues to play well in Laval, how can you take Jakub Dobeš out? You can't. I can't. Again, the only way things are going to change is if the Montreal Canadiens continue to force Ken Hughes' hands by winning all these bleeping hockey games. They're 9-2 in their last 11 games. It's fascinating to me. So yeah, there's no chance. There's no chance. He's got a 959 save percentage, 977 goals against. You know what would make sense to me? You know what would make the most sense to me? Hear me out. Let Kaden Primo 2-0, 977 in Laval. Good. Let him get to 4-0. Let him get to 5-0. Then trade him. Trade him. Trade him while his stock is high. See what's out there, because Jakub Dobeš shut out Florida, backed the team when they came from behind to beat Colorado in Colorado the night after they played and lost in Chicago, and then goes to Washington against the team. The Capitals went into the game with an average of 3.67 goals scored per game, second most potent team in hockey, and he and his teammates in front of him shut the Capitals down. The Canadiens played the perfect road game on Friday night in the U.S. Capitol. Washington had no shots on goal in the last 8:47 of the third period. Montreal wins it in overtime on Nick Suzuki's OT winner. So Jakub Dobeš has allowed 3 goals and 74 shots. He's not going anywhere. So let Kaden Primo stay hot. I hope for the kid. I hope that he gets his confidence. And then the Montreal Canadiens can maximize his value. And so next year, you'll have Sam Montembeault, Jakub Dobeš full-time. And I think they're going to finish the year together here unless something catastrophic happens. So Montembeault, Dobeš for the rest of this year. Next year, it should be Connor Hughes and Jacob Fowler in Laval. That's what I think happens. Let's see what you all are saying here. People, if Monty struggles against the Stars at the beginning of the end for Montembeault, no. Let's relax with Sam Montembeault. It's nice to have 2 good goaltenders, but as we've learned here, let's learn. The Canadiens are teaching us in real time. They're teaching us. Let's pick up on those breadcrumbs they're leaving behind. They're leaving a trail for us to follow. They are. I love spotting patterns. I like to try to spot patterns. And the pattern is the Canadiens are trying to win, rebuild, develop all at the same time, and they're doing it, clearly. They're in the mix. 9-2 in their last 11. Caulfield's on pace for 80 points and 46 goals. Nick Suzuki's on pace for 84 points. He's on 42 points now. Lane Hudson's on pace for over 60 points. That was one of the best games I've seen Lane Hudson play, and I feel like I say that every time I see him play. And the Canadiens haven't lost back-to-back in 4 weeks. They're leaving a trail of breadcrumbs. Let's use our brains and follow the trail. Be patient. Look how patient they were with Kirby Dach. Look how patient they've been with Juraj Slafkovsky. Slafkovsky with a great feed, great hockey IQ. Slafkovsky stays at the point. Cole Caulfield finds open ice. Slafkovsky finds him back of the net. Caulfield on 23 goals, on pace for 80 points. Follow the breadcrumbs. Think about the first month of October, how badly they looked. Think about the month of December. Look how good they looked. Look how fundamentally strong they've been. There's nothing fugazi here. The Canadiens are not a smokescreen. What they're doing and have been doing is extremely legitimate. And they're telling us how they're doing it because they leave a pattern of behavior behind them. Let's pick up on those breadcrumbs. Joe Cowan in the chat. I know Vancouver wouldn't accept it. They're talking about perhaps making a trade. Again, I just want to remind everybody, what the Canadiens are doing competitively is probably going to force the hand of Ken Hughes, but not in a way where he goes cuckoo bananas and trades guys away. While I have your attention, please, everybody, a reminder that you too can be a fan of this show, and I welcome you to the club by being a member of the Sean Starr Show, right? We've got some friends that are members of the show, and they get priority replies. They get early access to my videos, like the one I did yesterday with Ivan Demidov, and how good Ivan Demidov has been looking. And some of those people got an early look got an early look. You look at this Demidov here. We got over 4,000 views. The Demidov update. If you're a member of the Sean Starr Show, you do get an early look at some of my early videos. You get priority replies. You get member-only chats, chat rooms for members, and exclusive posts for members only for less than $3 a month. So if you want to be a member, you go to my page, The Sean Starr Show, and you can find it very easily. Just go right here on The Sean Starr Show. You click the link section right there. You open that up, and then you click on Sean Starr Show membership. Click this link right here, and Bob's your uncle, and you're a member, and you get early access and priority replies to all of my stuff for less than $3 a month. So thank you so much for being a part of that, certainly. Let's see what else we got here. Recliner Sports says, I need to go. Somebody says, Jesus, Sean. This is the most brilliant you've ever sounded after all these years. I love this shit. This is the most brilliant I've sounded. You know, I do 4 hours a week. I do 20 hours a week almost every week. What do I take? Like 5 weeks of vacation a year? So 52 minus 5, 47 weeks times 20 hours a week. I do a lot of talking. But Recliner Sports says this is the most brilliant I've ever sounded. Listen, I'm going to take that compliment. Thank you for that. Joe Cowan, Sean, let's talk about Cole for a bit. This is unreal what I'm seeing from him for sure. Demidov late in the second period, less than 6 minutes. 6 minutes, of course. There's no doubt. Like, I can't wait. You know, I was talking to a buddy yesterday. You know, like clearly, like you see, I love golf, right? Like I'm a decent player. You know, I love golf. Golf's a huge passion project of mine. And I mean this. Are you ready for this? This may be Recliner Sports. I hope you're sitting down because I'm going to say something freaking brilliant here. And I can't believe I'm saying this. It took me a second to process this. I love golf so much. I am already ready to bypass the summer of 2025. So training camp for the Montreal Canadiens in the fall of 2025 can begin. That's how excited I am for Ivan Demidov. End of sentence. I mean it. I mean it. Like, I can't wait for this guy to come. I can't wait. Gotta say, Sean, I miss your podcast in the car. Sean Campbell. Line A skating again. Thank you. Thank you for that. I was not aware of that. I've been on the air here on this podcast since 9:30 this morning. Thank you for that. I didn't mean to show you all that. I meant to show you just this. Anyways, say la vie. Thank you so much for that update. So, like we found out a little bit yesterday, we found this out yesterday. We knew Patrick Laine wasn't going to play in Washington, but there was a strong chance he could play tonight against Dallas. Same thing for David Savard. So Montreal moves to 9-2, 9-2 in their last 11. They've beaten 5 of the last 6 Stanley Cup winners in their last 7 games. Montreal has not lost back-to-back in 4 weeks. Lane Hudson on pace for 62 points. This man is your Calder front runner today. Lane Hudson is your front runner to win Rookie of the Year. Have you seen? Like, he's got what? Lane Hudson has 31 points. I believe the next rookie point total from a defenseman is something like 6. So that race is over. Thanks for coming. Macklin Celebrini is right there in the mix with Lane Hudson. But what puts Lane over the top for me is the minutes he plays, the role he plays. Like, look at that Canadiens power play. Like, Lane Hudson has already become the Canadiens' go-to on the man advantage. Everything seemingly goes through 48 now. He is the man at the point. This man walks the blue line like a guy who's played in the NHL for 15 years. He's so calm under pressure, so quick to react. And so he's playing over 22 minutes. The points he has, on pace for over 60. It's over. Rookie of the Year race is over. Give it to Lane Hudson. Am I becoming a Sean Starr convert? Recliner Sports, what do you mean? What were you before? What were you before? Why weren't you? Why do you have to convert? Come on now, get on board. Let's go. Let's go. I think putting too much pressure on Demidov is detrimental to his development. Many a player has been mismanaged and diminished by this kind of expectation and pressure. Okay, so that's a comment. Let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about pressure. You know, sometimes we get caught in the trap of, and I think this comment here, let me transition to this comment here. This comment right here, I'm going to highlight it if I can so you can see it. That comment right there, okay? We get caught in the trap sometimes of thinking, this is how I would react. This is how I would react if I were this guy. Well, you're not Ivan Demidov. I am not Ivan Demidov, okay? So, like I mentioned earlier, let's see if we can find a pattern, okay? Let's talk about Cole Caulfield, okay? Let's talk about Lane Hudson, okay? Let's talk about those two guys for 1 second here. What were your expectations? What was the market expectations for Cole Caulfield when he was rewriting USA hockey goal records? When he beat the record set by the great Austin Matthews of the Toronto Maple Leafs? What were the expectations for this little guy? Then let's talk about Lane Hudson, who was what, the 62nd overall pick in the second round? And we're watching this guy doing what he was doing at the university. And then he comes and he plays 2 games to end last season and has 2 assists and makes guys move and dances on the blue line in 2 games. And then he comes this season and has 31 points, on pace for 62 points, and is the quarterback of the Canadiens' power play, which is much better. Were we not talking about expectations? Were we not talking about, wow, can't wait to see this guy here? Look at all the goals he scored. And now what are they doing? Cole Caulfield's on pace for 46 goals, partner. Cole Caulfield's on pace for 80 points. Are we talking about detrimental development because we expected Cole Caulfield to score? No. I learned this too. Based on how I think, like if I'm going into a competitive golf game, I'm going to be nervous. And maybe I'm going to lack confidence. I'm not a professional athlete, never have been, never will be. I'm a normal guy. Insecurities, vulnerabilities, confidence lacking, confidence soaring. Ebbs and flows of my own personal life. These guys are the 1% of the 1%. And I'm not saying it's a universal rule that applies to everybody that makes professional sports. Everybody is their own person, okay? But at least work off the sample size that we've been given that leads you down the path to believe, like, why do you think, what do you mean? Like, you think Ivan Demidov watches the Sean Starr show on YouTube, watches Marinaro on the Sick podcast, watches, I don't know, Arpin Basu and Marc-Antoine Godin, or they watch Habs Digest? You know, with those guys do some great work. You know? You think he watches those, or his girlfriend, or his agent, or his parents, or his uncle? And they're like, oh my God, Ivan, look what they're saying. They think you're going to be great. And Ivan can't go to sleep because he's affected by the pressure? Like, where are we going with that line of thinking? These guys live in their own little world. These guys, they poop confidence. They sleep confidence 24/7. I promise you, what Brendan Kelly is writing about in the Gazette, what Sean Starr is saying on TSN 690 or on his little old YouTube channel, first of all, never even gets to Ivan Demidov's world. Second of all, if it does, you think he cares? No. Look at his stats, bro. Look what he's projected to be. Look what people around the NHL are saying about him. Like, it's not a one-way street. So let's remember that because you and I love sports and talk sports, it doesn't mean we know how to think the way these guys think. It's unrelatable. Unless I'm talking to somebody that played in the National Hockey League, I'm assuming you didn't play in the NHL because I didn't play in the NHL, so I don't know what it's like. But let's not think that all this over-the-top positive hype around Ivan Demidov is detrimental to his development. I cannot get along that line of thinking. My brain just doesn't work that way. Love your take, Sean. The golf clubs have to go. That is incorrect. This is my podcast. That is my golf bag. Behind that golf bag is 2 more golf bags filled with golf clubs. That dog there, these golf clubs there, those are my passions, and that's what I'm about. And if you can't get over the golf clubs on a hockey podcast show, I'm sorry. The other thing I'm going to warn you about right now is I'm going to be in talks with a production company soon. I got the email from Buddy yesterday, and it seems like the response is pretty good. That we will be doing come spring and into the summer months, we will be doing golf content on this show. Once the Canadiens off season is in full effect and the moves are done and the free agencies, yada yada yada, I will transition this channel that you're watching today into a golf space. And then when hockey comes back, we will go back to hockey full time. So I plan to do some 9-hole challenges with my friends. We will be mic'd up. We will be having fun, maybe do some challenges on the golf course. I'm going to have some people that you probably know and probably like, and we're going to have some conversations. We're going to go out there and we're going to film, and it's going to be fun. And maybe I'll put a Canadiens sweater when I do my golf content just to be consistent. So that's coming. I just want to let you know that's what's coming. Is there a GT? That's the other thing too. We're going to be doing golf giveaways because that's a driver there. That's a Titleist GT. I've got a Titleist TSI. I've got a Titleist TSR. I've got a PXG Black Ops. I got a TaylorMade Sim 2. I've got a TaylorMade Stealth 2. So I've got drivers out the wazoo. What I don't have is left-handed drivers. I am a right-handed player. So I will be giving away golf stuff coming up. Exclusive, hard-to-find golf balls, including a sleeve of golf balls from the Masters. You have a chance to win that coming up later. Bruno Lachance says, with your golf clubs, you look like a Leafs fan ready for the inevitable. I am here for the Leafs jokes. And are you using Ecamm, Sean? If so, you can drag individual comments. No, I am using right now. This is I'm using OBS. OBS Studio is what I'm using. I use StreamYard for my interviews that you see on my channel. And when I do this here, because I love to be able to transition into chats, like I could do, what I really love doing is being able to go to different windows, So like I could take you here, and then I could put myself back on the screen, kind of stuff like that. So I use OBS Studio for that when I do these solo layouts. I hope that helps, okay? So I think that is it. It's 10:32 now. We've been going for an hour strong. Hit me up in the chat. You want to do this again tomorrow morning? I could be back here tomorrow morning and we could do this again if you're so inclined. Let me see. Baba, he already has pressure in Russia. Yeah, he does. But yeah, I don't know. Habs Digest is questionable. They're just a cheery bunch, and they don't do... I noticed that. Steph Howard. Morning, Steph. Proud member of the Sean Starr Show. You could be a member of the Sean Starr Show, too, for less than $3 a month. I noticed Dvorak hasn't gotten injured this year on a contract year. Yeah, the Canadiens are so healthy. It's awesome. Mark says, Ivan Demidov already knows he's great. Odds, Laine plays today. I'm going to say 95% Patrick Laine plays tonight. Famed sports psychologist. Fun fact, Joe Cowan, I wanted to be a psychologist when I was younger. I love the way the mind works. For Connor Sports, tell me your real name, you bastard. Cool, OBS is good. Try a Cobra. Yes, I've got Cobra. I started off with Cobras. I had an F9 forever. I loved the Cobra F9 driver. That was very good. And the 3-wood too. No, I sold those. I sold my old Cobra set. I still have the irons. I think I can. Let me see if I can get them here. I have the old irons here. There. See? There's the old, these are the old irons. Which ones were these? Forge Tech. And look, you can see this is a 130-gram shaft. It felt like I was swinging a freaking sledgehammer. That's my old 8-iron. So I was a Cobra player for a long time. Cobra was like kind of the first brand I really got into because I was very intimidated by Titleist. I thought you had to be a great player. I thought only great players played Titleist. So Titleist has always been the brand I've always loved. My dad was Canadian Junior Golf Championship run. That is super cool. So yeah, Cobra irons. I love. I've spread it around a little bit. I was a big Cobra player for a long time. Now I play. Let me get these ones for you. Hold on. Now I play these ones here. So let me show you this one here. I play this. This is my everyday. These are my everydays. This is a 7-iron. That's a 7-iron. These are the Titleist T150s with the red S300 shaft, the AMT, the red S300 shaft. So that's what I play every day. My T150 irons, and I love them. I always thought Titleist was pronounced Titleist. Ahaha, ahaha, ahaha. I get it, brother. I get it. So thank you. Always been a Titleist guy too, but last summer changed my driver and ended up going. I heard the Ping G430 was unbelievable. I heard it was crazy good. I haven't tried it personally myself, but I hope to be able to, because driver is the weakest part of my game. I hit it okay. I'm kind of straight. I hit 68% of my, just over 68% of my fairways in over 131 rounds played. I was on my golf club A intersectional team. I was on the A team, and we played at Whitlock. My golf index is 2.1. I'm a 3 handicap at Kanawaki. But because Kanawaki's such a tight layout, I'm more interested in keeping my ball in play than I am in the distance. So when I go play like Royal Blue, or I go play Lavalse or Lilac Blue, and I got to play from a bit further back because I want to play as far back as I can. I sometimes struggle a little bit, but thankfully my wedge game and my putting game, are what kind of keep me competitive. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, I need to get more length off the tee. In a perfect world, that would be great. But I do not want to give up accuracy for the sake of distance. Maybe both things can be true. What's the small golf course in Hudson called again? I forget the name. What are you? The small golf course in Hudson. In Hudson. Well, there's Whitlock is the private club there, and the Falcon. The Falcon. That's a public golf course. I used to play the Falcon. I loved playing the Falcon. But those, unless, correct me if I'm wrong. Am I missing another golf club in beautiful Hudson? Hudson is a town. I could live in Hudson. If you ask me, like, if I retire or whatever, I could live in Hudson. I love that place. I grew up playing Fresh Meadows in Beaconsfield. How old are you, Recliner Sports? We must know each other. I'm convinced of it. But you weren't always a Sean Starr fan. You're slowly, I don't know if you fully converted yet. So, yeah. Anyways, that's good. Okay, I feel like I'm just wasting your time and my time now. You guys catch me on the golf rabbit hole. And I just don't stop talking golf. I cut my driver by half an inch and don't miss fairways anymore. I do not even lose a yard in distance. Hey, really? Eh? Interesting. Because my driver's standard. My irons were, I think, a quarter inch longer, but then I put them back to standard size. But I've heard people cut down their driver before. I've heard of that. And I also don't hit your 3-wood off the tee. Hit driver. Learn how to hit driver. And if I could say one thing only, like if you're going to go into a new golf season in 2025 and you're like, yeah, I want this, I want this, I want that. And you're like, you want a new driver, you want a new Scotty Cameron putter or whatever. And you've come to a budget in your head and you're not a very good player. So let's say you have a $1,000 budget in your head that you want to spend this spring, right? You want to get new shoes, you want to get a glove, you want to get tees, you want to get Jay Lindenberg quarter zip or something. Fine, go get the clothes, go get whatever you want. But hear me out on equipment for 1 second, okay? Like I'm talking to you, I'm talking to the 20-plus handicapper. That's who I'm talking to. And let me put the caveat in of, how do you define having fun playing golf? If fun playing golf is smoking a doobie, drinking a beer, shooting the breeze with your friends, and killing 4 hours in the sun, God bless you. I could be a part of your foursome. I like that kind of golf. But if your definition of fun is going out there and trying to score and trying to post your best score, and you're a 20-plus handicapper, and you have $1,000 that you're comfortable spending this spring to get ready for the new season, take $500 and go see a pro. Go see a pro. Spend that money on yourself. Invest in yourself, because I promise you this. 2 things. A, you can't go to your favorite golf store and buy a game. You know, you're going to go get fit for irons or a driver or a wedge or whatever, and the salesperson's not going to say, you buy this club, I'm going to shave 15 shots off your game. You're going to go from a 20 handicap to a 5. It does not work that way. You know, a lot of golf clubs are marketing companies as opposed to golf club manufacturers, okay? So pay attention. And the other thing is, I promise if you stick to it and you invest in yourself, you will have so much more fun going out and buying the new fancy stuff and then looking and playing the part with those things. Like your cool index will go from here to here. Like you roll up with a brand new Titleist GT driver and you're spanking it, carrying it 280 because you worked all winter with a pro and you worked on your grip and on your takeaway and your transition, and now you're spanking it. Bro, you're going to look so good. Everyone's going to want to play with you. Everyone's going to want to have you on their team. As opposed to, hey, fellas, look, I got the brand new Titleist GT. You know, 40-yard slice into the pond. Oh, let me tee it up. Breakfast ball. Shank hook. You know, duck hook into the left woods. You know what I mean? Like, you're just giving money away. So, again, I preface this by saying whatever your definition of having fun on the golf course is, go out there and make the best of it, okay? Lessons do matter. Have I ever given a golf lesson? I have given a golf lesson. I have. I've given many of them. I definitely am. I definitely am. Because I'm a real golf nerd, right? So I consume a lot of golf. I think I have a very good understanding of a technique in terms of the good and the bad. I am not a teacher. Do not come see me for golf lessons. But for elementary stuff like Golf 101, I could definitely help. Yes, definitely help. Especially when it comes to reading greens and putting. I would say that is probably my forte. But in terms of, because I lived that life, I was the idiot. I would go out and buy the newest things, and I sucked, and I had a vanity index. I thought I was so much better than I actually was. And then I joined a golf club and met serious golfers. And I was like, man, I am light years behind y'all. I'm not even in near, no, forget it. We're not in the same class. And then I got better. I realized I'm not having fun losing Pro Vs all the time, having to reload at the pro shop, looking like a clown with my fancy stuff and nice clothes, and I couldn't break 90. Like, nah. And now if I don't break 80, I'm like, what's wrong with my game? You know what I mean? So I've put in the work, and I've learned a lot over the years of playing this stupid game. And if I can help you avoid some of the pitfalls just so that you can get to the finish line a little faster, and that takes me back to someone that asked me why I'm doing this show full time. I don't know, man. I love helping. I just like being a part of the community. I'm a social guy. I'm a good vibe guy. I want you to enjoy golf as much as I do, and if that means helping you get better, it makes me happy too. Yeah, aim point. I can help you with aim point. I know aim point. I have been using aim point for, I don't know, 6 years, 7 years. Guys at the golf club, when I used to go, when I used to do that, man, they would make fun of me all the time. Now watch how many of them are doing that. So yeah, thank you everybody. So I'll be back tomorrow morning. We'll be back tomorrow at 9:30 in the morning. Thank you so much for everybody that joined. Certainly appreciated. Thank you so much, everybody. So I will be back tomorrow. I will be back tomorrow morning at 9:30. Habs and Dallas Stars coming up tonight, live on TSN 690. So thanks so much for being a part of this. I really appreciate all your support And we'll be here. We'll be here tomorrow morning at 9:30. So set that reminder, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification button so you're alerted on your phone tomorrow so you don't miss it. Habs and Stars, Canadiens looking to go on their longest winning streak of the season tonight, looking for 4 in a row. This team hasn't lost back-to-back games in 4